Donald Trump has lost a lot of friends over the years and especially recently. And we're gonna talk more about some of his frustration with his former loyal comrades a little bit later on. He does still have one guy that he likes to hang out with from time to time. And so literally on one of his last days as president, he had a meeting with the CEO of MyPillow. They sell pillows. It's Michael Lindell. And you can see here a photo of him leaving from his meeting with the president. And the interesting thing about that photo, first of all, is that the president's meeting with the CEO of MyPillow. But the second thing is that you can see his notes there. And you know that that building is being watched by only about 1 billion cameras, and some of them have telephoto lenses on them. So yeah, someone got a close-up shot of his notes. And I don't know, especially if you're on mobile, I apologize. You're probably not gonna be able to read that. And it is cut off. You can only see about half of it. But even in just that half, there are references to national security, the Insurrection Act, Fort Meade, Sidney Powell, foreign interference, China and Iran, domestic actors. Let's see, we've got the word evidence there, election issues, cyber crimes, and martial law. And so, like, I'm not necessarily the best at, fill in the blanks, but I think I have an idea of what the other half of that is. And it's not good that the guy who wants to reassure everyone, no, you don't have to convict me in the Senate. I'm all about that peaceful transfer of power. Like a week plus after the insurrection is meeting with a guy who seems to be pushing him to potentially declare martial law. We don't know, again, we don't know for sure. We don't know how he was greeted, even if that's what he was coming to say. But Jordan, Ken, what do you think about this last MyPillow Hail Mary of the Trump presidency?
Well, I'm glad for one that the president has critical faculties to push back against what people are saying and not just kind of by osmosis, just absorb ideas into his thought processes that he's hearing bounced off of him by whoever happens to be in the room at the time. I just want to say, doesn't the MyPillow push of 2021 sound like some kind of gag joke that we would say on Twitter or something like a year ago? And now here we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this isn't the first time that we've had some like hyper partisan actor come into the White House or leave the White House with their notes on full display. If you remember, we were just talking before the show about like stories that seemed significant at the time but are now fleeting. Like Chris Kobash went into the White House when he was trying to become a cabinet official or appointee with a list of notes about caravans and voter ID laws and all these different types of voter suppression measures. So here we are again, but this time the consequences are much more significant because it's ultimately anti-democratic. And poses a risk to our republic, but also it's coming from a TV guy who is like one of like basically the ballast of Fox News's primetime lineup because so many companies have fled that advertising space. So he is like subsidizing what has ultimately radicalized so many boomers across the country. It's hard to overstate just how influential Mike Lindell is, from a television audience to the president himself. This is like the Forrest Gump of politics right now.
Now, go on, Ken.
And a crackhead before all that, which I want to say, I wanted to like him when I heard about his background. You know what I mean? It's a letdown to see that this is who we get. It's just another, kind of seemingly corrupt businessman with a kind of comeback kid story. But here we are.
Mm-hmm. One does have to wonder. He gained all of this power and influence because he's one of the businesses that will still advertise on Fox News. Many won't. Because of, leftists pushing these advertisers away. Did we create this monster by advocating for advertisers to flee Fox News? We gave him power by eliminating all of his opponents.
So this is my fault.
I didn't want to say specifically, but it's mainly you.
Yeah, I want to say we were just talking about the NRA, and I mean, I don't know. It looks like Jordan operates with some impunity on social media, kind of fury he whips up, and now we've got this guy. I don't see anyone asking any questions.
I'm sorry. Come on.
So now here's the thing: we've got the MyPillow guy, and reason to believe that he's talking to the president with only a few days left of his presidency about declaring martial law. So, look, just on its own, that's worrisome, when you put it just a few days after a violent mob that briefly took over the Capitol, that's worse. But from what I've been reading, some of the specifics in here track with a lot of what the even crazier QAnon people are talking about, like invoking the Insurrection Act and stuff like that. That's a thing that they've been focusing on in the last week. And so this guy isn't necessarily just involved hypothetically in funding the radicalization of conservatives via Fox News. He seems, based on the evidence, we don't know for sure, to be absorbing some of that more online, even crazier than 4chan type radicalization as well.
Yeah, and that's especially troubling. I mean, we've seen a spike in that in general over the past several months because people have been cooped up at home, spending more time on their phones or online. And because we have these opaque proprietary algorithms that feed people information and are basically incentivized to feed people more and more radical information, it's led to this mass just brainwashing of millions of Americans that ultimately culminated in a substantial chunk of America looking at what happened last Wednesday, a scenario where thousands of people stormed the Capitol, shattered windows, beat someone to death with a flagpole with an American flag on it, and wanted to essentially overturn the results of an election, where a significant chunk of Americans saw that and thought, that's fine. Let's reelect the guy who inspired this. They don't care because they think there's this nefarious cabal behind all these types of things. I can't overstate just how disgusting these social media platforms are and these algorithms are, and then their effects, their corrosive terminal effects on society. It's really disheartening.
Yeah, and it's weird that when the social media platform finally says, okay, I'm done with this thing, whether the thing is anti-vax rhetoric or QAnon or Trump on Twitter, like it often feels like we have this conversation about them being blocked on it. But the entire period before that, it wasn't like a neutral, like just neutral territory. As you said, these algorithms are actively pushing people to these things, even in the midst of campaigns where they say they're not. I mean, I had a reporter on to talk about Instagram apparently cracking down on anti-vax information during the COVID vax rollout. But it was still incredibly easy that if you searched for one anti-vax thing, you just got more and more pushed at you. So like this QAnon stuff, like a lot of platforms are taking it more seriously, but we have years now where they have been trying to get people to watch more and more radical content in those areas. And I kind of feel like it's reached this point where it's involved in Trump's final days.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.